What's going on, guys? Matt over here with Lethal Camaro, and today we are at Eibach, the makers of amazing lowering springs, off-road suspension, shocks, sway bars, all that greatness. They make all sorts of products for so many different cars, but the most important thing is they're now making products for the 6th gen Camaro. So let's go check it out and get my car lowered today. We are putting on a set of lowering springs for the 2016 Camaro SS. Now, this setup will drop the car an inch, maybe a little bit lower, but the biggest thing here is it's gonna allow you to close that wheel gap on your car. So in my instance, as you guys know, I went with the same setup as the ZL1 and the 1LE, and so I have the 285s, 305s in the rear, much wider rim in general with the 10 and 11s. But the big thing here is dropping to a 30 high sidewall tire, which opened up the wheel gap quite a bit. Now, I believe the 1LE and the ZL1 do come with the GM performance springs, but Eibach makes better springs. Let's just, come on guys, you know better. So this will help close that gap, give the car a better stance, and also lower that center of gravity for the car, just to allow it to hug the road that much better. It's gonna help you in cornering, driving, all that great stuff. So, got the car up on the rack. I am at Eibach. They are providing the springs here for the car. And this is the install video. So next steps, ripping off the tires, get it all set up, and get up in there and drop all the corners, get the springs out, and we'll go from there. So we're gonna start with the rear. First step is just taking off all the plastic shielding. So most of you guys know these sit underneath here. Pull those off. It's literally 4 plastic, I don't even know what they call these things. You guys know, little plastic fasteners. Hold it in place, pull those off, and then that reveals this, which is just these bolts here, which are for your shock. I'm sure we're probably not pulling this all apart, right? Probably just gonna drop it.
Our first step would be to disconnect your mag ride sensor link, because during droop, if you don't disconnect it, it will break your sensor off.
It's a good note.
Disconnect the link, it's spring loaded, we'll go up.
There you go. So it's a little ball joint that just connects. Pop that up.
The inner link, which is also a cam bolt for adjustability. So we're gonna mark this off so it can be somewhat close to its original setup before I align it. Go from there. Start with our shock.
So the nice part about being on a lift, you could do both sides back to back. So actually just follow the same steps across the board. So just loosen the shock there. We'll pull the bolt out holding the shock. This is where it pays off, having an organized toolbox. Easy to find the pieces you need. And then also keeping all your bolts and things that you remove from your car on each side of the vehicle is also key. So here you got a magnetic plate holding all the different parts and pieces from each side, so that way you don't have to worry about, oh crap, where'd that bolt go? You know, it's all about organization. So one of the dangerous parts on lowering a car is the springs. Now, when you are pulling apart your entire assembly, your spring's under pressure. And so you just don't want to nilly-willy pull bolts out and have your spring come literally exploding out. Like on older cars, like you could kill yourself. And I think even here, if you do it improperly, you can seriously injure yourself. So be careful here. But as you can see, we're putting pressure underneath as we pull the bolts out. This way, we don't have to worry about the spring just flying everything down. Obviously, you can only do one side at a time, but dropping this out is probably the most, slowly is probably the most critical part in this process. So we got it under tension so we can slide the bolt out, and then I'm assuming we can just lower it slowly, right? Is that the goal?
Yeah.
So there we go. Go. So the bolt's out, that's holding that. You see you could tell it was under pressure because the car even dropped a little bit. So now it's lowering it slowly. And even here, you need to be careful. Primarily because if you do it wrong, your tool can slip out and all that other greatness. Wasn't under as much tension as I thought it was.
It's caught on your aftermarket exhaust.
So fun part, if you do this after you have a stainless work system installed, it looks like the lower arm is actually hitting the pipe. Could have been one of the reasons why GM had that point crimped on their stock side. So you can see the spring just pulls right on out. See the boot? You want to hold on to that.
You have the top isolator, and you also have a lower isolator right here with a locating tab. And you can actually see the locating hole.
So here's the locating hole. You want to make sure you get that lined up right, because if you don't, not good. So here's the new spring. You can see he's got both the top and bottom piece already in place. And then again, using those locator positioning. Actually, you can't see it from this side.
You don't see it from the top.
But he's lining it up, getting it dropped in. We were chatting about this off camera, but trying to do this at home with just your weekend warrior style project, I don't know how good you're going to be able to pull that off. So seating it up in place. So now you can see we actually have a decent amount of play before it actually has to get back up. Now in my instance, my stainless works catback setup, the pipe sticks over a little bit, so we do have to kind of, I guess, crowbar it into place, just to push the exhaust out of the way. We're doing that on the clamp side, as you can see. Want me to slowly lift that as you pull, or you got it?
I got it. Just make sure the spring's seated properly as you're going up.
You can see this is the part that makes the weekend warrior aspect of it really hard to do. I mean, if you don't have I guess you could do it with a floor jack, dropping it in place and whatnot, mainly because this isn't under too much tension and you don't need that much space to drop it. But you know, it will be tough for you guys if you do try this at home by yourself or with a buddy. You can see here the tools that we have and a lift, it just makes it a breeze sliding it back in place. And it's nice having someone that does this for a living doing it. So I'm sure he hasn't seen too many cars that he can't handle. So once you get it up in place and everything aligned, you'll want to slide that bolt back in there. I mean, for safety precautions, until you get that bolt tightened up, you'll definitely want to leave your jack or lift in place. But get it all aligned, and again, because you're organized and you have all the pieces off to the side, quickly grab them and put it back together again. I'm pretty sure he just did that corner in like 5 minutes. That's pretty awesome. So now it's basically rinse and repeat on the other side once you get the bolts all tightened up back on this side. And the nice part is we only had to remove 2 bolts for the rear side. So you had the main connection joint and then your shock. So yeah, alignment gonna be needed. Your toe, your camber, it's gonna be all off. But the other side is putting this back in. Notice the shock was pulled up a little bit, so we actually have to lift the whole assembly here to get that shock bolt back in cleanly and get that tightened up as well. So next step's the other side. I will fast forward through that because it's identical, and then we'll go to the fronts. Okay, so now that we have both back end springs in place, the last step, once you get all your bolts in place and set up, was the second step was actually if you have mag ride, put your mag ride sensors back in place, make sure they're connected, and the back is good to go. So just like the rear, guys, we're gonna go through, disconnect the mag ride, all the electrical, all the wires. You can see there's quite a few of them up front. Get that all disconnected. See, this little electrical is just it's a pop clip. Slide that right on out.
Yeah, it has this red retainer clip. We gotta slide up.
Yep.
Push it down.
So basically you'll see there's a lot of clips underneath this front end. So there's a clip here you gotta pull apart. You'll see on the tree clip styles, there's like 3 or 4 clips that hold this, that wrap around your strut. But basically you'll wanna make sure you remember where those are clipped, so when you put it all back together again, you're not like, oh shit, where did that go? And you wanna make sure you do it right, because they do this very purposefully under here to make sure that the cabling and everything is out of the way from your rim, out of the way from just normal debris and stuff like that. So make sure you don't, like when you put this back together, you remember exactly how you took it apart in regards to the wiring. It's very important you route it the same exact way. So there is a bolt that holds the primary harness for it looks like all the wiring. A couple bolts.
Yeah, one is
that the brake line?
This is the brake line, and then this one right here is your wheel speed sensor.
Oh, okay. So there's a bolt just behind your rotor and the shielding. That one's the brake speed sensor, and then you'll have the bolt here that's holding in place your brake line, and then that excess cable. They're pretty easy to remove. So the next part is disconnecting from the tower. See, those 2 bolts there are what totally F's up your alignment in the front. Taking those out is... Yeah,
this one right here is actually slotted, and that's what this hole right here is for. Okay. So you can put a bolt in, and you could actually push out the knuckle to adjust your camber.
So here the next step is the sway bar link. So, sorry, I can't really see, but you can see it connects down on here, comes up. There you go.
Back and out of the way. Now, these 2 bolts right here are knurled setups. That's why I didn't have to use a wrench on this side, because they're press fit in.
Oh, nice.
So I'm gonna have to press them out.
They make it so less tools, but harder to pull apart. I will say the attention to being very safe around the car, not hitting things, is his forte. You can see removing those 2 bolts obviously dropped all of this, and this will allow us to pull that out and then drop it down. I'm assuming there's probably a nut or a bolt up top that has to be removed.
Yes, you'll have your top mount nuts.
Yeah. So now it's just dangling.
Yeah. Just make sure you're not pulling on the brake line or any electrical cables, as this has slack in it. You don't want to accidentally pull apart one of the wires or stretch your brake line. Just make sure there's slack on it.
What he said. So we did the initial process in pulling apart the front end on the passenger side. Now it's just repeat on this side. So I'll do a time lapse of it, and we'll go to the next step after we're done. Okay, so we got both front corners completed in the sense of all the bolts pulled apart and everything. Now the next step is getting up in top and dropping the bolts here and dropping the actual setup So unlike the 5th gen, I believe the 5th gen only had 1 bolt up top. This one is 3. Actually, it's a whole different setup, so. So on that last bolt, obviously you want to support the system coming out, but there you go. Now this is the fun, tricky part. Taking that spring off without making it explode.
See, that's why I like these mag ride setups, because
they won't. It's like tensioned, right?
It's an inverted tube.
Oh, I see.
To run the electrical out the bottom, so it's actually a lot stronger setup because the size of this tube inside this housing, instead of the little 1/2 inch or 5/8 rod, you got, you know, what is this, like a 2-inch tube. Much stronger setup.
There you go. He approves of the mag ride. We took off the other side, same way that we took off that side, but now that we have both setups here, it's taking the dust cover off, and then we'll actually, I believe the next step after that is compressing the spring and getting it out of there. Now, this is a tricky part that stops a lot of you guys from being able to do this at home. Now, there's a lot of products on the market that allow you to wrap around a spring and compress it down, and for you to be able to do that, and that's great, but this is where I advocate, go to someone who knows what they're doing, who have the proper tools, because you do not want to kill yourself getting springs out of a vehicle. So here they have all sorts of setups. So you'll see your standard just Beasley load setup for springs, and I believe you have a pneumatic one over here, right there. You can see he's setting it up. You can see he's putting load on the spring, or about to put load on the spring. It's getting this all lined up. So the bottom, you'll see it's supported on multiple angles, so you're not jacking up the spring, because if you just do one side, that is never going to work so well.
Gotta put even load on the spring, or the spring will actually bow and put side load tension on the strut.
See, he's lowering that, so we have basically the unit hanging free with the spring compressed. And what he'll do is remove the nut that's right in here to pull it apart, and then we'll let the load of the spring off so it's not under load anymore, and then swap the springs out, and then put the butt back on and be good to go. So this is a important tool. Again, they do sell manual tools that you can use at home, but again, I highly encourage you guys, work with a shop, go down and talk with someone. This is not your everyday weekend warrior style build. Pulls right apart, and then the tool is just allowing it to decompress.
So as you can see, quite a bit of preload.
Yeah. So yeah, undoing that bolt without any sort of thing compressing that spring is going to be your face jacked up or worse. So, you know, save your life. Use a spring compressioner to lower your car if you're going to do this at home. You can do it, don't get me wrong, but just be safe doing it. Do it proper. Spend the money for the tools if you don't have it, or hit up a buddy who has one and utilize his setup. So also in the box is the most important piece for your vehicle. It actually adds horsepower, and that would be the Eibach stickers, because those are going on the car. Okay, so the one thing to note, that this kit is made for both the non-mag ride and mag ride. Eibach has done a ton of testing on both cars with this kit, and just to differentiate, there are some bump stops. These bad boys are for the vehicles without mag ride, you'll install those. So these actually go on the fronts. You'll replace, I believe, the stock setup, but you'll slide those on and be good to go. But in the case of having the magnetic ride control setup, you don't use these, so these remain in the box. Now we are putting the new spring back in place, and it looks like we might not need the tool to get the bolt. Maybe.
Yeah. You could probably do it without it, but it would be easier.
Yeah. So you can probably put the bolt back on without it, especially if you have a helper. See, I'm holding a camera, so I'm not helpful. But we'll go ahead and use the spring machine to do it, and that way it will just be easier, and we can tighten it up and make it easy to go.
When we increase spring rate, sometimes we have to change the free length of the spring. So this spring is actually physically shorter than the stock one. We do have minimum free lengths, I think 10 or 15 millimeter of preload. Some of them you can get on by hand. Top hat actually has no helical rise on it. Its location
Doesn't, I mean, you line it up based on the holes in the top.
Yeah, it has its alignment pins right here. So that, as far as reinstallation into the structure of the vehicle, is critical, because they have these alignment pins set up a certain way so it's installed properly, and so you still get your alignment measurements correct. Because if you didn't have those pins and you installed it like this, if this is off center just by like a millimeter or two, it will change the position of the strut, and your amount of caster and camber and everything can change. Dust cap.
Don't forget to put your dust cap back on. It's the most important part. So now that we got the first corner done, do the other one. It's a rinse and repeat process. Nothing different between the two sides. So, yeah. So at this point, we're putting the assembly back in, and now this is where you'll see the two alignment points mount up right in these holes here, and then obviously you have your bolt holes. You want to make sure you line those up accordingly. You see he's dropping those in there. He's being a magician, lining it up and putting a bolt in. Lining that up is crucial, guys, so make sure you get those in the right holes, and then also, just start threading those bolts so that way you catch it and you don't have to worry about it falling out, and from there you tighten it up. So you can see we already got this side done, and you can see where those alignment holes, or the alignment pins, are put in place, and it's all lined up. And the nice thing is the way this design works is it free spins, because the top portion of the hat and all that stuff is separated. So once you get that lined up, you're good, and then you can position this piece down here pretty easily. So now it's assembly time, getting all the bits back in. So you can see he lifted all the pieces in and got a top bolt in there, so it's not completely hanging anymore. But remember, this is where the important part is making sure all your wiring and all those parts get back to where they are, and that you insert those tree clips where they're supposed to go all the way around, so that way you're not having any issues with your reel rubbing on a wire or a cable, or in this, the sensors and the actual brake wire. So
you can actually see the play for camber adjustability now that I have the bolt loose.
Oh yeah. See, that's messed up alignment right there. Let's just leave those boots loose and see what happens when you drive down the road. Don't do that. That'd be bad.
That I will have pre-threaded before the alignment, which I will use. When I tighten it down, I'm gonna have it at full negative, and then when I align it, it's also gonna.
Then you could just push it out.
Yeah, I can slowly push it out to where I need, tighten it down. It'll be good.
So there you go, putting the bolts back in place and getting it all stitched up. And then from there, once this is all done and the wiring's all hooked up, you want to make sure that you get that all how it was before. And then the next step from there is the alignment. Now, luckily they have an alignment machine here, so we'll be able to get that done. Knowing, depending on who you go to work with your vehicle, they might have an alignment machine there that can get that done, but do know that will be an added cost when you do this. You will have to realign your car no matter what, or you will screw up your tires to no end. So make sure you get the alignment. Worse, I mean, you could drive from the shop to an alignment shop. That's not going to kill your tires, but do not prolong drive your vehicle out of alignment, or you're just going to have to that new tires instantly. Especially with cars like this with so much power, you don't want to risk that, and you really don't want that $1,200 plus bill for new tires. So one thing I do want to highlight, as you guys know, I did get new wheels and tires for this car. The stock setup had much taller tires in the front and the rear versus what I got now. The setup I have does match the 1LE ZL1, the 305s with the 285s in the rear, but this time I went with 30 tall tires. Now, dropping down to a smaller tire sidewall height did lower my car initially, but it also caused a much larger wheel gap. And that was the primary concern I had. And then also I just wanted the car lower even initially because the wheel gap on the car stock was okay, but it could have been lower. Now, putting the Eibach Pro-kit on the car, as you guys saw, with the 30 rated tires, definitely closes that wheel gap very nicely. And the car now, the stance wise and just overall looks really clean. So if you guys are looking to change your tire size and go as big as you can in the rear, you'll know that 305s are basically the largest tire you can fit in the back on an 11-inch rim. You might be able to squeeze in 315s, but you're gonna get rubbing, and at that point you're gonna have to do some modifications underneath the car to make them fit. Now, going the route that I did with a 30 tall tire, just like GM did with the ZL1 and 1LE, allows you to put that 305 in the rear with no issues, and it's just a nice clean look. So, but yeah, that's the setup, that's the install, guys. I hope you guys definitely appreciated the video in general. The install was pretty painless, knowing that we had all the tools and the lifts and everything. If you guys are trying this at home, please stay safe and do it properly. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Likes, comments, shares, always appreciated. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think, if you have any further questions or need clarification. And if you guys enjoyed this video or any of the others on the channel, hit that subscribe button, support the channel. A lot more Camaro stuff coming and beyond. So until next time, guys, I'll see you on the road.